to another edition of Face the Nation. I am Tenneng Gitteh, and yes, the Face the Nation is a GRTS flagship program that aims to bring people closer to the government. On today's edition, we have the Ministry of the Interior to tell us about the security in the country and other issues concerning the Gambia. Again, I am Tenneng Gitteh, and we have the audience here as well. Remember, as usual, you can ask questions in between. Every topic we talk about, you have a chance to ask any question you want to regarding the topic. To introduce members of the high table with me, first of all, on my far left, I have Mr. Bulli Mustafa Diba, who is the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Interior. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We also have Mr. Buba A. Sanyang, who is the Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department on my right. Welcome. And we also have Mr. Ansumana Mane, who is Director of the Gambia Prison Services. Welcome.
Thank you.
And in the audience, we also have Mr. Tijan Baji, who is the DDG, the Deputy Director General of the Gambia Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the Gambia Police Services PRO, or Police Force PRO, who is for the Conte. Welcome. And to get to the question, and I'll start with the Permanent Secretary. Well, viewers, recently the Ministry of the Interior moved their office from where it used to be to a private quarters, I would say, in Kotu. Many have raised eyebrows, and especially regarding to the cost of the office, to the government, to the people in general. So the question is, first of all, why the move?
Okay. Thank you, Madam Gitteh. I think I was expecting this question. I think this is not a surprise, but it's a very good question. It's relevant. I think the Gambian people need to know why the Ministry of Interior decided to move. It was necessary. It was necessary to move. When you talk about security, your work environment has to be right. Security is not like any other ministry. The Ministry of Interior was housed in a residential neighborhood around Fitzgerald and Allen Street, in the midst of a residential neighborhood. That is not ideal place for a Ministry of Interior. Space-wise, there was not enough space. There was not adequate space to house the ministry, and it was affecting our logistical preparedness to do what the Gambian people expect of us, that is to serve the interests of the country. This was way overdue. We were just waiting for a right place to move, and we found a right place. This is why we moved. It was not by our desire to move out of Banjul, because we have all our departments almost in Banjul. That is the police, the immigration, and then the fire service, and also even the prisons. But then it's timely that we move out of the way for safety, for the safety for our people. You cannot expect people to work when the working environment is not right for them. I think that was the reason we moved out of that place.
Even if the reasons are understood, yeah, safety, the proximity as well, issues concerning all of those, acceptable, yes, they're acceptable. But why to a private building that will bring more cost to the government or to taxpayers?
Well, the building we were renting before, we were occupying before, was a private building too. It's not new.
But in cost-wise, this one is more exorbitant.
Exactly. You have to pay for the comfort, and then also for the space that you are going to occupy. You can't compare the two buildings. Look, if Gambia wants to be serious and we want to compete with the rest of the world, we have to take things seriously. We cannot have our international partners visiting us and they found us. The first impression is very important. Nobody will give you a serious respect if they find you in such a situation.
So it's also about image.
This is a place where when you are walking, you hear people pounding, cooking, you can smell food, kids playing football. Every other day, we have to go around and fix our pipes, because this is in the midst of a residential neighborhood. Plus, when you work in Quadrangle and other places, when the electricity goes off, they can understand that you are in the Quadrangle or other places, they will put the electricity on. At that place, no. There was no generator, and when light goes off, we have to call NAWEC to beg them to put on electricity. So there was a lot of inconveniences. The place was just not suitable. It's not just by choice we wanted to move out of the place. We would have loved to stay in Banjul, but we looked at other options in Banjul.
But there are people who actually argue that you could have lodged in another government building, for instance, the one at Bruce Beaton Table.
That building is fully occupied. We tried that. We tried to share the building with energy, but there are two other ministries in that building, plus there's another department that is in that building, so they cannot accommodate us. We tried that. We even look at all other options. We look at the former medical and health. You all know we were just in the midst of movement into that place. And there was a decision that, no, we cannot go there because I believe the other security unit is going to occupy there. Then we tried another building that is right by the UNDP, it's right by the hospital. That is the former UNDP building. We applied for that place so that we can renovate that place and we can use it as an office space. The Ministry of Interior exhausted everything that we could do in order to stay in Banjul, but it was not possible. And like I said, we have serious business. We need to be in a very good place so that we can function as a security ministry. So,
to your ministry, image is key.
It's not just about image. This is about doing the right thing for the country. You know, like if you visit my office now, you'll be happy. You know, even if you don't like the fact that we moved to that place, but you'll be happy. You know that, well, at least we are giving the people who are providing security for us a place and a conducive environment where they can work and make sound and effective and efficient decisions for the country. So this was not an easy decision for the ministry to move into that place, but it's high time.
It was not an easy decision, but a beautiful one. Yes. At that, because you have a very beautiful premise, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to other topics as well. The issue of identification, ID card, driver's license, passport. These issues that every Gambian is concerned with. I mean, if you're up to 18, you start looking for documents. These are things that you need to look for. But there are confusions here and there. I mean, it's been a while since people were able to get ID cards. And when it comes to passport as well, people don't really know whether it's the old one, the national passport that we used to use, or is it the biometric one? Which one? There is constant confusion. So to the Immigration Director, why the confusion?
Thank you very much, Tenneng. And also, thanks Face the Nation for facilitating this interview. Yes, there is confusion. Maybe they are not getting the message correctly. The ID card, we have been issuing ID card for the past months, but in a sudden, it's halted. But the ministry is on the process of bringing it back. And when you come to also to the passport issue, yes, we have 2 passports running concurrently, and that definitely doesn't go well with the international requirement. A nation should have 1 passport. But unfortunately, since the launching of that biometric passport in 2014, the machine-readable passport was running concurrently. Maybe that is why the ministry feel it is necessary that we have to go by 1 passport, because this is not our making. It's an international requirement. That is the International Civil Aviation requirement. And this is the organization that determines the authenticity of a passport on ICAO 9303. So therefore, Gambia, we cannot be an exemption. And the confusion that people are having is maybe they are not getting the correct message. Biometric passport is a very authentic passport, which is fraudulent free. Mm-hmm. With the machine-readable passport, which that is also an electronic passport, very authentic. Just like I said before, we cannot go by with 2 passports. Mm-hmm. For now, we are using 1 passport, that is the biometric passport. We will be going into the media sensitization to give the general public the correct message. As he said, there is confusion.
But again, what happens to the other passport, the non-biometric one? I mean, people are having it right now. So what? Okay, it's still valid.
Yes.
So what do you do in case your passport expires?
In case your passport is expired and you are within the country here, you can go and get a biometric passport. Maybe if you are overseas in the diaspora, arrangements is also going on to dispatch a team to go to the diaspora to issue passport for our Gambians in overseas.
Okay, from passport we come to...
I want to come into this. I think this is very important. Thank you for bringing this question up. I think maybe we are not doing enough good job in terms of sensitizing the public to understand what is going on. We on behalf of the ministry, if that's the case, we want to apologize. But it's good for Gambians to understand what the ministry is thinking and what we are trying to do. When you talk about, when you say ID card, that's one thing, that's one document. You know, in your question, you've made mention of passport, ID card, driver's license. All these are part of what we regard a national identity system. Now, when we voted for a change in Gambia, we said this is an opportunity to start a new Gambia. That means we have to build a solid foundation. A foundation that is going to be based on a security platform that everybody will feel safe and secure in the Gambia. We have to strategize, we have to think. New thinking, how do we do that? That is where we are at the moment. I can understand the frustration and why Gambians are so impatient. But when you want to build a new country, you have to build some of the structures fresh. You have to visit some of the structures and assess and know what is not happening. When you talk about a national identity system, it's different from a national ID card. Today we can give anybody to print ID cards for us. If you bring a company from America or wherever in the world and they give you the best ID card, the best quality ID card in the world, but if that ID card cannot link you to any of our national data, the value of the ID card is not relevant. It's like you go to the phone shop and you buy the most expensive telephone set, maybe 40,000. You have a telephone set that's of high quality, but if you cross the ferry and you go to Barra, you cannot get any of the networks. What is the value of your telephone in Barra? Zero. We need to understand Gambia. We need to make sure that every citizen in this country is accounted for. We need to know who is in our country, who is not in our country. In order to do that, we have to look at our national identity system. Your driver's license cannot tell who you are, or your ID card. You show your ID card to the police, there's no way they can know who you are. Your ID card is not linked to anything. Nothing, absolutely. But when we have a national identity system, your ID card should be able to tell you are Tenneng, you work at GRTS, you are married, you have this number of kids, and your ID card can be linked to your passport, it can be linked to your birth record, it can be, because there will be a database where when we use a national identity card number, that number would link you to that database and your profile will be, you can get your profile. Immigration can benefit from it, justice can benefit from it, police can benefit from it, all other sectors can benefit from it, provided that we have a national identity system. Let me give you a good example. But
if you say there will be a database, means that right now there is no database.
Right now, that's why I'm coming. Right now, there's no database. If you have a vehicle, I don't want to expose some of these are security issues. But let me give you one good example. If you are driving on Kairaba Avenue, your vehicle, the police officer at Kairaba, there's no way he can know whether your number plate is authentic or not. If you want to verify that, you'll have to call the police station. You take them hours to go through pages to know whether this number plate is authentic or not. Even if it is authentic, the number plate is not linked to either the driver or the vehicle owner. But if we have a database where the number plate will be linked to the vehicle owner, if you have any traffic violation, that information will be stored in that database. So that anytime the police stop you in traffic, they can know that you have series of traffic violations. These are the people we can suspend their driver's license because they are risk to the population. This is the thinking of the ministry. But when you are building a structure, the foundation, before you come out of the ground, like if you're building the central bank, people say, what kind of building are they building? This man must be crazy. He's inside, he's not even come up yet. Because you want to make sure the solid foundation is right. Once the building is up, everybody says, oh, now look at this. This is a very nice building. They've forgotten about the foundation. So the fact of the matter is we want to appeal to the general public. We understand your frustration, we understand your concerns. But when we talk about New Gambia, we have to do things right. We cannot just continue doing problem solving. This is why the temporary ID card that was in place, we suspended it. You don't have to charge people $150. It's for something that has no value, absolutely. And then the issue of the passport. The DG made it very clear. There is no country that can have two passports at the same time. You go to the airport, the immigration officer has one Gambian has a biometric passport, the other Gambian has a machine-readable passport. Which of these two passports are authentic? And we have to be part of the international community. We cannot just live in isolation. So these are some of the reasons we said, look, even if it's going to take time, let's do it right and make sure at the end every Gambian will be proud of what we are trying to do.
But again, the same question lingers on. You suspend the issuance of temporary ID cards. People are walking around without identity. What happens now?
No.
In case of an accident, how do you identify the person?
No. You know, the ID cards they were issuing people, let me tell you the secret. You apply for an ID card, sometimes it takes 3 months you don't get your ID card and your money is taken. 150. That is fraud. You know, we are trying to protect the Gambian public. You apply for an ID card, by the time you get your ID card, it's 3 months and the year has just ended. And then the beginning of the year again, you have to apply again. So it's like robbery, you know. What we did was, if you have an expired ID card, you have a voter's card, you have a passport, those are still used. You can use those for identification purposes. But it's a sacrifice.
But talking of voters' card as well, we have had of situations where we have non-Gambians accessing the voters' card or having the voters' card. So still, again, there's a problem.
No. How do you get a voter's card or how do you get a passport? You showed up at the immigration with a Gambian birth certificate. The immigration officer is not crazy to tell you are not a Gambian. And the Gambian birth certificate is very easy to get. We all know it's a fact. You can get it within an hour. And that is the foundation document. You go to immigration, they give you an ID card. Then you apply for passport, you are a Gambian. And the law here says you are not a Gambian until and unless one of your parents is a Gambian. Some people think that when they are born in Gambia, they are Gambians. That is not. I want to make that very clear. You can live in Gambia 30 years. If you don't naturalize, and your parents are not from Gambia, you are not a Gambian.
But if you're born in the Gambia?
Even if you are born in Gambia, you are not a Gambian. One of your parents must be a Gambian. Being born in Gambia doesn't give you the constitutional right to claim Gambian citizenship. Now, this is why the ministry is doing this thing. We know that the foundation document is faulty. Birth certificate is faulty. Somebody get a faulty document, goes ahead and get a voter's card, ID card, passport. Now, we want to start a national registration, civil registration. That is, every Gambian is going to be registered. And in that process, you must prove that both your parents are Gambians or one of your parents is a Gambian before we will put you on that national register. We are going to create a national register, and then we will have, after the civil registration, that national register is going to be the foundation. Every Gambian will be assigned a number. If you go to immigration, you said, I'm a Gambian, they don't need a SAFOS paper or Alcalos letter to confirm. You give them that number, they plug it in the database, they will see your profile. You are from Badibisale, Kenya, that's your father, that's your mother. They don't need to refer you again. But then we have established a national data. That is going to be a national register. And that's what we want to do. If we do that, we can account for every Gambian. We don't have to have police checkpoints everywhere. The reason why we have these police checkpoints, because Gambia, we rely on human intelligence. We are not making the best use of modern technology. If you go to other countries, even in America, they're a big country, New York City, 10 million people. They don't have checkpoints. How are they able to track people? Because they have numbers where if you go to a shop, you go to apply for an apartment, you go to apply for a job, you give them a social security number. When they plug that in, they can see your profile, all your criminal record, wherever you have lived, how many kids you have, your profile is there. And if you commit a crime somewhere, you run away from Basse, you come to Banjul here, when we give that national identity number, when we plug it in, we will know that you are wanted in Basse, you have committed a crime, you are here. The police can simply arrest you. If you are wanted and your vehicle, you are driving a vehicle, we have that your vehicle plate is in the national database. When you commit a crime, you are wanted, we are looking for you. The police will take your number plate, run it through the database, and they will know that you are wanted. All of a sudden, the sirens of you are pulled and you are arrested. This is what is happening in most countries, and this is what the ministry is thinking, bringing to the doorsteps of government.
One last question before we take questions from the audience. How soon do we get there?
It's in the process, and I'm sure very soon.
It's in the process?
Oh, yes.
No time limit?
No time limit.
Okay. I hope we get there in this lifetime. Any questions from the audience?
I just want to ask just two questions that are very important. First of all, the public might want to know you know, what are the processes that are taken, though the tenant did not ask that question, but I have to bring it in. You know, what are some of the procedures taken in order to reject, like if a group, a union, applied for a permit to protest? Is it because they have to go through to ask the president or to request for, you know, audience, or is it that this thing happened inside? The other questions too that I want to ask, which is very important, is you've made mention of that you Gambians don't take advantage of the new technologies that we have. You know, what is stopping us from taking the new technology? Is it because there is a lack of funds, or is it because people are really not doing their job, or what exactly is the problem? Because we've been saying that we are not taking advantage of technology. This has been said all over on, but nothing has been taken. So these are basically my two questions. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Baba. We'll come to the issue of peaceful assembly, the policy on peaceful demonstration. We'll come to that. That's a topic of its own during the show here today. But again, the second question, you can take that one on.
Yes. With regards to not taking advantage of modern technology, we have to first have a vision as to what kind of Gambia do we want. What kind of country do you want 5 years from here, 10 years from here? And we believe in that vision. That vision has to be communicated to the citizens. Once they are convinced and we have the right leadership, a leadership who knows that this country no country will develop if you don't have a sustainable supply of energy and a reliable ICT, technology, internet. You know, investors are not going to come to Gambia if they want to download a very critical information for their business. It takes 5 hours. People don't have time. Business is money, is time. The reason why I say we are not making the best use of modern technology, I've given an example. Like the police force, we have about 6,000 men and women in the police force. We are making it bigger but not smarter. None of the police in traffic has a radio even to communicate. What do? We give them mobile phones so that they can communicate among themselves. If electricity is down, that mobile doesn't work. Right? There's no way a police can stop you in traffic and know your identity, who you are. Technology can help us get that. The Gambia, you come to the airport, you enter the Gambia, there's no fingerprinting. We don't know whether we are importing a terrorist or a criminal from another country. If we had had a fingerprinting system at the airport, once your fingerprint is taken, it's run against all the database of all the criminals, wanted terrorists, and all over the world. Then we can stop people from entering our country who are here not for good. This is the example I say we are not making. But you don't have to blame the old system. This is a new Gambia. There are a lot of people who were born before computers. They don't see the advantage of some of these things, but those days are over. The Gambian population is young. A lot of people are very smart. All what it takes is we meet together, we dialogue, we discuss, we know what we want. Let me give you a good example. Urban planning is zero in Gambia. There's no planning. There's no, the only master plan, Greater Banjul master plan we have, the last time it was visited was in 1984. All these developments you are seeing here are not guided. We can use modern technology to guide us. We can identify areas for agricultural purposes, for residential purposes, for commercial purposes, for business. That is not happening because we don't have any vision, any urban planning. Zero in Gambia. These things are linked together. So in our national development plan, we need to emphasize greatly the need for more application of modern technology if we want to move. We don't have to make our police force bigger. We can make them smarter by giving them the modern equipment. GRTS, if we equip you well, you don't have to have that number of people you need, but you can do your service more effectively.
Okay.
My question is for, I want to believe that moving your location from where you are and where you've moved to now Kotu is quite necessary, and for the various reasons that you've actually highlighted. Now there is also an ongoing rumor, which I believe perhaps you must have heard of, that your ministry is perhaps one of the ministries that have been lavishly using state resources for various reasons. In fact, there is also an ongoing rumor, which I'll put up to you, that the minister himself has 5 utility cars just by himself. I don't know where this comes from, but this is also an ongoing rumor. Now, we're also talking about a ministry that has moved from a current building to another building that with quite an exorbitant price that they are going to pay annually. So is this something that we are going to continue seeing, or is some of these rumors that are being said by people out there in the streets are things that hold no substance, or they hold no water? What do you have to say in regards to these issues?
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. You know, this is democracy, and this is what we all fought for. This is very welcoming. You know, people have all rights to express their opinion, but what we are saying is people need to be sometimes, so when we say democracy, people need to be a little bit responsible. If, before you circulate a rumor, our office is open. If you have such information, come to my office and say, this is what we are here. I will give you the facts. And sometimes when you get the facts, you say, well, why am I getting this information from? Because we are a small country, rumors are spread very fast. Sometimes they are not true. I can assure you that where we are at right now, it's not going to be permanent, but we need to be somewhere to do, like I said, a new Gambia, a new thinking. You cannot think right when your environment is not right. That's a fact. The building we were occupying before, I was in that building in 2005 when I was the admin and finance director for the National Environment. The moment I stepped in that building, I told my executive director, this is not a building for the environment house. You cannot talk about environment when your own environment is not conducive. I'm telling you, it's very bad. You have people coming to visit you in that building, you have broken pipes, you have feces everywhere. You cannot live in that kind of environment. What did we do? We worked very hard until we were able to build the new NEA headquarters. That was through myself and my former executive director. Where we are at now is just temporal. We have plans to build a place where we will house the police, the immigration, the fire service. We call it sort of a little bit Pentagon, where we will be doing logistics, you know, operating and giving instruction to other areas. This is the dream of the ministry. But that place, we are not going to be there for permanent. We are going to build our own place, and we will do that in the very near future.
Okay, now we move on to another topic, but still on immigration, this time around on illegal migration. Gambia is one of the countries in Africa that has the highest number of illegal migrants through the back way to Europe. Recently, the government is bringing some of them back through an EU cooperation. But the question in minds of many is, why just those in Libya? I mean, there are people in Italy and in the EU area that are also struggling. I mean, the pictures they put on Facebook and the reality on the camps are different. But why is it that only those in Libya are the ones being brought back?
Thank you very much, Tenneng. Immigration issue or irregular migration issue is a global problem. And it's unfortunate. Like you said, Gambia is a small country. But when you check the statistics, especially in the sub-Sahara Africa and Middle East, Gambia is number 3, which means definitely most of our youths are flying through the dangerous routes. Name it, Sahara, up to the high sea in the Mediterranean. And the people being returned by the IOM is voluntary. They are not forcing anybody from Libya. These are people who are in a very bad situation and they want to come home. This is why Libya is forming the majority.
Okay, again, what happens to them? This is something I've seen myself, to be honest. I'm not speaking from hearsay. This is something I've seen. We have had people returnees in the studio, and they speak of not having any incentives given to them.
Yes. You see, IOM is also an organization that depends on other organizations or other states to help them with finance. So obviously, if they are giving you a right to come, maybe they will not be able to give you something, like substance. Exactly. But recently, I think it was on Friday, there was a, a package of these returnees signed, sponsored by the European Union Trust Fund, and it's going to be facilitated by the IOM for the Gambian returnees. Maybe soon, very soon, maybe in the next batch or so, they'll realize something. It's not going to be too much, but at least it can sustain you. It can at least give you some food.
But what is the Immigration Department doing to help?
Well, we are throughout these bilaterals, and immigration is helping in many ways. Well, we facilitate when they return, we receive them and do the cancellation.
The counseling?
Counseling, yes.
Tenneng, I think DG got it right. This is a very sad thing, what is happening globally. According to the ILO, there are about 240 million migrants and refugees crossing the borders, international borders. We have 150 million labor migrants. Everybody is guilty. Africa as much as the West. It took the West far too long to ignore the problems in these countries, when they should have addressed the root causes of this migration. They waited too long. Africa, we also waited too long. Our leaders did not do very much to address unemployment. You cannot have a population where 60% of the people are youth, and you have over 30% of youth unemployment. What do you expect? People will risk their life to cross. This is why we challenge our partners in Europe. Let them encourage their businesses and their investors to come and invest in Africa if they are serious and genuine about addressing the root cause of migration. Poverty, people are poor, they will do whatever to put food on the table for their parents. Now, these Libyans is a different thing. The priority for the Libyans was to bring people to safety. These are people who are in harm's way, who are in danger in prisons, who are dying, who have been tortured, treated as slaves. Our concern is to bring them to safety first, number one. Then we will address other things. Luckily, there's this trust fund, about $200 million that is going to be used for the sustainable reintegration of these people that are coming back. The funds is not enough, because for now, what we will do is post-arrival, we will assess these people, the ministry working together with IOM. If there are people who want to go to schools, people who want to do investments, mostly for community projects, because we want our citizens to stay, but we must give them something that they can live on. So that is what that $200 million is for. That is for just for 1,500 returnees. Now, we are going to get more returnees from Europe and other countries. It's a fact. We don't want to give our people hope that the people in Europe are not going to come back. Europe had enough. They will do everything to send some people back. But mostly are people who are involved in criminal activities, selling drugs and all this. If you violate somebody's laws, obviously they have all rights to send you back. But then, this is an issue where we all is a concern to every Gambian. There are some risks that we cannot talk on air. People going, some of them are going to come back. We as a country need to do anything possible to discourage migration. We cannot stop it, but we need to do something to discourage it so that our young people can stay.
But when you say there are things we cannot talk about on air, I understand the interior being sensitive, security being a sensitive issue, but again, this is Face the Nation. We want to put everything on the table so everyone knows what's happening.
Yeah, because the reason I say that people are just narrowly focused on the remittances. And I keep telling people remittances will not develop any country because it's increased dependency. If you go to my village now, all the fishermen, all the farmers have stopped. Nobody wants to go to fishing now because they all get little remittances. Cost of living is going up. Nobody wants to do serious farming because they are getting remittances. They are dependent on these people. They don't understand how these people are getting these monies. We cannot have a society where we are creating more lazy people than we can afford. So these are things that the mindset of the people, we need to educate our people to understand. Now it's not the very right time, because if you go to our own communities, you're trying to discourage our parents not to stop sending their kids this back way. You are the enemy. You become the enemy because this guy doesn't want my prosperity, because he was asking me not to send my child. When my neighbor's child is there, now they are living in a cement block. But sustainability. That you live in that small block today, couple of years down the road, that man comes back, he has some mental problem or he has some other issues. What is the cement block worth it? People are withdrawing from schools, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, going this back way. And most of the time it's the parents behind them. Especially now, the things have changed. Before it was the fathers, now it's the mothers who are selling their jewelries, who are selling their cattle, who are selling their whatever they have to push their kids out, to go out. It's very sad. And the thing is, some of these young people...
we're very familiar with the factors that lead people to go on illegal migration. But those that voluntarily come back, I mean, you cannot go through all of that. Remember, we should understand, when they come back, there is stigma attached. People will say, kid in Europe, Nyona, but has nothing to show for it. Right? Yeah. So that also can even lead to mental instability and increased crime rate and other stuff. What is your ministry doing to cope that? To help them in that situation?
This is just not the Ministry of the Interior. This, you are now talking about a policy, a national policy on a very complex situation, a very complex issue. This is a national issue. It's not only the Ministry of Interior that can handle this. The government needs to take a stand as to think, how do we address this? How do we discourage this thing? How do we prevent this thing from happening? Like I said, this is a small country. If we invest in youth employment, we create factories and job opportunities for our young people. I have lived in the US for 70 years. I can tell you I've never met anybody from Libya or Ivory Coast those days. You know, because they don't travel. They were very content with what was happening in their country. We can do better than that. In Rwanda, the government is forcing its citizens not to go out because they are only getting in migration, not outward migration. They're telling their people go out and experience the world because people don't want to go out. They are very happy in their country. But people are happy in their country. They don't want to leave. This is what we need to do to create job opportunities for
So in conclusion, your Gambians are very unhappy in the Gambia. Well, we'll move on to another topic right now, another issue, which is the prison reforms. Earlier this year, the prison doors were open, and every Gambian was appalled as what we saw in there. The way of living, the standard of living was honestly disheartening and heartbreaking. And yes, we have had several times the minister himself say they would change prison system, there would be reforms, and a lot has been said. And yes, we were hopeful then. But the question again is, what is happening now?
Thank you, Tenneng, for that question. I was all along expecting that.
Okay, good to know.
As you rightly said, when this new government came into power, I think the first thing they did was to go straight to the prisons and show the whole world about the situation of the prison. We definitely was not very pleasing, because this is the Gambia. This is the only country we have. Those incarcerated in that prisons are our own blood brothers and sisters, maybe our uncles. So seeing our own bloods in that kind of situation, definitely it doesn't tell well. So when the minister came, I was appointed to that, because they believe that maybe there could be changes, and definitely there is changes going on. When you know the prison before and the prison now, definitely it is different. I used to tell people that, well, we are in a reformation, but people, I don't think whether they know really what is reformation. Maybe they think they might think that the structural changes, though the structural changes is part of reformation, but what is more important is the regime, is the activities that is taking place there in the prisons. And I think my PS can attest to that. There has been a lot of changes, especially in the human rights issue and other stuff. So we are doing it. And just recently that I was tasked that there is going to be a committee for this prison reform, and already recommendation has been sent to the ministry for that committee to hold. Maybe very soon you will see us in the air or in the...
What types of reforms are we looking forward to here?
Well, first of all, we need to look at the Prisons Act. The
Act itself?
The Prison Act is a colonial...
It's outdated?
It's really outdated. We need to look into that first. We have no other choice, because it is the only act we are having, so we have to work on that.
And then how about when it comes to things that happen in the prison itself, inside, when it comes to, because they complain about the food, they complain about the accommodation, yes, it's true they are prisoners, but again, I mean, some things are just purely inhuman.
Yeah, just today as part of my routine, I went to the prisoners to have a face-to-face discussion with them to know their problems, because previously that never happened. My predecessors whom were there before, most of them never did that. But as for me, it is part of my processes. Time to time, even today I was there to know their concerns, and definitely some of them attest to that. Attest to it that definitely the food is not good. And we are that so most of the complaints are that. But when I came, there was a kind of ration there called pap. I think is made up out of from this course. When I came,
that's Rui, right?
Yeah, it's a Rui. I did my own findings. So from there, previously, as you know, there were so many mortalities in the prisons, which I cannot even hide here. Day in, day out, on weekly basis, when you go to the mortuary, you will find maybe 2 or 3 prisoners there. But thank God, with the support of the ministry, when I took over from this from February up to date, there was no mortality that has been registered. So, to me, I think we have improvement in the food, because I have totally condemned, I have totally substituted that pap to bread and butter. So, and definitely weak prisoners, definitely.
Okay, out of my own curiosity, what type of butter?
Well, margarine, yeah, and milk.
I want to add that the Director General of Prisons is talking about. When we took over in February, the first thing that came to us as key on our priority list was the security sector reform. We have a security sector that was under-principled and underperforming. Now, when we talk about security sector reform, it's not just about the police and the army. It includes the prisons, it includes our judicial system, it includes our intelligence. Now, we took the prisons very seriously. The prisons was about close to 900 inmates. When we took over today, the prison population is about 204. Our priority first was to decongest the prisons seriously. That is, let go people who are there unnecessarily sometimes. There are people who are in prison for 10 years just with a joint of marijuana or small quantity of marijuana because of the draconian laws put in place by the former regime. You cannot send a young person with talents to prison for 10 years for just a small quantity of marijuana. It's not acceptable. So we decongested the prison as our key priority. Second, to improve the diet and the bedding. The diet, we went to finance as well. Look, it needs to be, if you have to increase the budget for prisons so that they can improve on their diet, you need to do that. We thought of hiring cooks so that they can cook for the prisoners. But the stumbling block was the Act. The Act doesn't allow some of those things to be implemented. Now we set up just recently a special prisons reform committee that is going to be headed by the former Justice Minister Fakumbai, specifically to look into the concerns of the prisons and how do we reform the Act and also the setup. Also, the government has secured land somewhere in Gambia, and we are in the process of the designing process to build a new prison. Because the prison we have now, Mile 2, will be used as a museum or something else. We cannot have people. We cannot have democracy and having people living in Mile 2. It's an insult to our democracy.
Okay.
And the other thing we did was the current condition of the prisons. We want to improve it. That is to do some adjustments here and there so that people can live better. The worst part of the prison is the remand wing. That is where we have a serious challenge. But even that, because of the ministry was so concerned, the remand wing had 11 cells. Each of those cells is meant to hold 4 or 5 inmates maximum. Today, each of those cells are 15 to 20 inmates. People cannot sleep. Some people will be up, some people will be asleep. And these cells don't have toilet facility. Prisoners go in at 7 or 5 o'clock until 7 or 8 in the morning. All the toilet facilities are there in the cell. That is the remand. That is, even the people in the convicts, their conditions are better than those in the remand. And we believe in innocent until you are proven guilty. So you cannot send somebody who believes that he is not guilty and you send him to that condition. Already he is in prison. So these are some of the challenges, but we cannot do it until we take a holistic approach
and then reform the Prisons Act. Something you said, I'm putting this one to the DDG of Drug Law Enforcement Agency. He said you cannot send someone to prison based on a small quantity of marijuana or, yes,
for 10 years.
Cannabis sativa for 10 years. Does that make your work difficult?
Yeah, it's talking about the same issue. What the permanent secretary here is saying is something that stands. We do not intend to arrest people with a small smoking joint, send them to prison for that number of years. It doesn't make sense. It means you are putting the cart before the horse. Before you sentence somebody for holding a small packet of marijuana, sentence the person for about 10 years. Those are definitely laws that are draconian.
But does it make your work difficult?
That is why we are trying to graduate from that system to a new system. Like he said, we cannot just live in that kind of a decadent situation where you have to remain in up to, for the last 22 years and wants to live in the same situation today. You know, we graduate. We should graduate from that system to a new system. It disturbs us to arrest somebody with a smoking joint and leave him go. But again, there are ways where we have to amend the laws. Everything goes by a law. You know, these laws are governing this the country. If we are finding it difficult to prosecute people with this kind of substance, we would definitely, it means we are trying to encourage them. That doesn't mean that, notwithstanding, we wouldn't have to prosecute everybody to that level, up to that age. What we can do as drug law enforcement agency is we arrest them and give them to the judiciary, to the magistrates. It's now left to them to decide whether or not, or what term of sentence they would pass upon the person.
Okay, and still it was the same joint. The magistrates will have to decide whether to send him to prison or not. I think it brings us back to the same situation again. Same,
right?
So
if you think, you know, you can just get away by smoking one joint means you are left free in the streets. No. However small the quantity is, we will do the due process of law. We will arrest you if we could, and that means still we want you people to partnering us in being able to get those culprits, bring them to book. We will arrest you, take you for women, take you to another system, and then put you in the courts. Now it's left with the court
to decide what to do with it.
What to do with it.
Well, as we just heard, they have secured land in Jambur, and they are planning or in the verge of building a new prison. But again, when I hear new prison, new building, I see the dollar sign. I see costs involved. And again, is that a solution? How about refurbishing the current Mile 2 vis-a-vis building a new prison? Which one is more affordable to the Gambia?
I think that place is beyond repair. No.
It's too broken to be fixed.
If you look at the environment there, the pollution that is coming from the dumping site and the other issues is in a swampy area, and there are a lot of bad memories about Mile 2. Currently, there's not a single family in the Gambia that is not affected by Mile 2. Either your family member, a friend, a colleague, a co-worker, somebody you know very well has been through Mile 2.
And that's because Gambia, we have a close-knit society.
Yeah, so that's people have a very bad memory of Mile 2. We need to close Mile 2 and move somewhere else, where our people can feel that we have given them the respect they deserve. Okay,
we have the police PRO here. Unfortunately, we don't have the IGP, but the police PRO is here. Earlier this year, yes, he mentioned that it went from 900 inmates to 200 inmates, meaning 600 of those people are currently on the streets. Again, people are concerned about security, and people do attest that crime rate has somehow increased, and people tell you, I cannot walk with my mobile phone at a certain time of the night and all those stuffs. What is the police doing about that?
Thank you so much, Tenneng, and thank you to the beautiful viewers of GRTS, and thank you for this beautiful platform of Face the Nation. Of course, a lot of people have been released from Mile 2, especially when the new government came into being. That was in January. Of course, a lot of things had happened because they have released so many people from Mile 2. I think we have, as a police, we have some a bit of challenges there. You know, for instance, most of those people released, some of them are hardened criminals, you know, released on the street. You know, and if you go by our records, most of the crimes that are committed, for instance, this pickpocketing or robbery, you know, breaking, so on and so forth, are caused by those same people who were once convicts. So the government did it out of good faith or out of good intention to give them a second chance. But most of the times, look at them. They don't take that opportunity.
Now, innocent people outside are paying the price for that second chance.
Yes, so they are paying a price for that second chance. But the police, we are also not sleeping. We are doing our utmost to make sure that those found wanting are sent back to prison, because probably they may feel that's the place they belong to.
That means the number could increase. But we'll take questions from the audience right now. Yes. There's a mic somewhere there.
Okay, my question will go to the IPRO of police, the PRO of the police. Right now we talked about these people released and they're on the streets out of good gesture by the present government in promoting democracy. But did the police make a research to find out whether the recurrence of crimes are actually being caused by the same persons? If so, to what level? And where that is the case, whether the police or the prison system or the Ministry of Interior in the broader perspective set some kind of a system where these people will also be on security check, kind of.
Security watch.
Thank you, Jason, for that question. Well, of course, the police, remember we have an office called the Crime Record Office. And this office is responsible of recording each and every crime that happened here in the country. That is, that we are able to apprehend. All those people that we have apprehended, we make sure that they go through the Crime Record Office. Their fingerprints will be taken, their details will be taken, and it will be filed. So most of the times, if these people, how do we know they are the same people doing the same crimes or doing the crimes, is that each time they have been apprehended, we get them back to the Crime Records Office, get their fingerprints, then it matches. So if that happens, we know that these are the people, and we get that in our statistics.
As well.
Yeah.
Another question?
Yeah, I want to come in there because I want to emphasize that the increase in crime reporting and is different from the actual crime committed. Now we have a lot of media houses, everybody can report the same crime. If one crime happens, it will be reported by so many other people, and then it will give you the feeling that crime is on the rise. Actually, the statistics is not supporting that. The statistics is showing that crime is on the decrease. But these are some of the things that democracy comes with. People, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and we want to encourage that. But I want governments to feel...
I think that counters what the PRO just said, because I think he's saying, agreeing that crime is definitely on the rise due to...
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Yes, I was just reacting to Jason's question, that how do we know that those people from Mile 2 are the same people committing the crimes? Of course, that we know it through our Crime Records Office. That is where their fingerprints are taken. Like the Honorable PS have stated, he is very right. Here in the Gambia today, especially in this new democracy, found democracy, you realize that crime reporting is what is on the increase instead of crime.
Not the crime itself.
So looking at crime, definitely our statistics shows that it is decreasing, because almost every day, we get reports from all over the country. That comes through our chief of operation, then to the statistics, and to my office and office of the IGP. This is where we know, and these are the indicators.
I mean, if you get reports every day of a new crime, then there is a problem there. Okay, we'll take one last question.
I'm a retiree from the National Army in the Gambia here. I retired for the past 20 years ago. Okay, my concern is, and it has been widely rumored in town, everywhere in the Gambia here, that there are people going around having their own master key rather. You park your vehicle, they come and open and then pick up your everything. It happened to me last month. I went to the Eco Bank in this place, Gimpex. I had a bank transfer of 170,000. Less than 30 minutes, the whole money went away. I came and found they broke my window, my car window, then snatched the money. So, and then by then, a police officer, a traffic police officer was just nearby. The matter was forwarded to, it happened at Nusrat Junction. The matter was just forwarded to Talinding police station. They came and visited the scene and then took pictures of everything. Then I went to the station. They asked me to write. I was writing my statement. The station officer or the station officer or the OC, he's an inspector. He said, no, you are to go to Bundung station because it's your jurisdiction. Okay, my concern is, as far as I have an immediate problem, it should have been taken care of by the said police station. Forgetting about jurisdiction, they could have opened a temporal file for me, then transfer my case to Bundung station. But I got annoyed. I said, look, let me leave everything in the hands of God. So up till now, I have not seen the money. Yes. So, henceforth, there is the police force is a recognized force. Fine, and they have more strength. Why not? I'm appealing to the Inspector General of Police, you know, to dispatch more police officers to be going around on street patrols, to be checking on such type of things. Because even yesterday, I heard that they, you know, some of these boys move along with this bath towel. The moment they snatch, they just place it on top of your screen, they just broke it, and then without you hearing the sound or whatever. So that's my appeal now.
Okay. Just one moment. Okay, sir. First, let me thank our fine men and women in uniform for the excellent job they are doing on the most difficult condition. You will understand that the police, like I said, they have no radio, they have nothing, and they have only one uniform for a year. You know, which is very sad. And they will stand out there, they don't have any health insurance. You know, all that you expect them to do for you, these are people who are risking their own life. No health insurance, no medical insurance, whatever for the police. Now, the Ministry of Interior has a plan. We engage a company that is working with the police to have a smart city project where we are going to have CCTV cameras in so many places. Crimes like that, all what we need to do, go to the nearest bank or the nearest building where your thing happened. We look at their CCTV camera and then we can identify the people. But if you don't have modern technology, you don't make use of it, the criminals are getting smarter. And you have to take some blame for that, because Gambia in the 1980s, you can leave 1 million in your car, nobody will touch it. Today is a reality. Nobody should leave money in your car because maybe somebody has followed you from the bank. You put money there, they just operate it and take the money out and go with it.
And despite that, I think, yes, security needs to be beefed up. But due to time, we'll just have to move on to our next topic. There is currently a very topical issue across the country right now, and it is #OccupyWestville. Everyone is talking about it. Initially, before they were denied permit, it was more like a sensational issue where people sympathized with, but we're not really into. But the moment they were denied permit, Gambians seem to love an underdog story somehow. Everybody wants a piece of the news. Everybody wants to be part of it. And the following grow. Again, the issue is there a policy against peaceful demonstration or assembly?
No. There's no policy. In fact, the Constitution has given everybody the right to peaceful demonstration.
So why were they denied permit?
Thank you. I think this is a very, very good question, and I think I want to address this in front of the camera so that Gambians will hear it. I want to thank the Gambians for having the trust, giving us the most difficult task, the most difficult job after taking over. That is to give every Gambian security and safety. And I think my ministry is doing that with the great leadership we have in Honorable Ahmed Fati. You can go to sleep, you go to bed and sleep, and your safety will be assured. We thank you for that. But we have to understand, the decision made by the IG is not just personal. When you request for a permit, we do our own assessment to see what is this have to do with our national security and safety. Now, protests are okay, but if protest is going to jeopardize our national security, we will not allow it to happen. Democracy is not just something that you can achieve overnight. Democracy is a process. I think Gambians are very eager to exercise this democracy. But our country is still a little bit fragile. We need to be very sensitive to that. We need to understand that there are risks associated with that. We will not deny anybody the right to protest, but we will look at the overall national interest over certain interest. Look at developed countries in America and others. It took them 400 years to have the democracy they have today. But what is still happening there? You know, people protest. You see it on TV. The police going over, beating people up. We don't want that. But we want to appeal to the Gambians to be a little bit patient. This democracy is here for all of us to enjoy, and we are all going to enjoy it. But the timing is not good. We are trying to make sure that we consolidate the security and safety of Gambians. So anything that will be a national distraction. And you have to remember there are some bad elements out there who are still looking for a single opportunity to destabilize the peace and security we are enjoying in this country. So whenever you put in a request, we look at all other factors based on, supported by our intelligence report. Our decision is based on that. It's not just we are denying people that right. And people have to remember, still some of those laws that were passed in the former regime, some of those draconian laws are still in existence. They are not repealed. I'm sorry, because there are provisions in those laws that are zero tolerance of protest. You know, when some UDP folks did, what happened to them? And those laws are still not repealed. The judges would be forced to apply those laws if anybody goes against the law. That is why we ask the people, the democracy is here, but our institutions are not yet ready. Allow us to make sure that we assess our institutions. The security assessment is going on. The army, the police for the past 22 years, all what they know is abuse. You do something, some of them are still thinking that way. You do something, they get an order, what's going to happen? We don't want that.
But it looks like that is still in the system, even with the police, because there were riot police at Westfield on Sunday in full gear. I mean, the people that said they were going to occupy Westfield were not there, but the police were there.
Yes, the police,
what for?
The police have a cause to be there because these people, when they were denied, they say, well, they will take the law into their own hands, they will go out there. And remember, we are not only protecting these people. There is another group that applied to counter-protest against these people. So you are going to have confrontation. One group here, one group there. As a state, we cannot afford to have that now. We cannot have our young people opposing each other, fighting in open daylight. You cannot have that.
So couldn't you have bring in another peaceful solution whereby you grant this ones one day, you grant the other ones another day, or even different locations that are far from each other?
They are all applying the same day. The same day. So what we are appealing is there's no need to be in a haste to enjoy this democracy that we are talking about. But let us be very careful. We don't have to, we struggled so many years to get this democracy. We don't want to just get rid of it away like that. Let's be very careful. And you know, it's not good. It's not good for any country when you are trying to, you know, stay focused on your other priorities, and all of a sudden you have detractors who want to do something else. You know.
But most people are saying that denial of permit indicates that the government, especially the security forces, are not very concerned with the young people in the country, especially issues that affect them directly.
They are forgetting other good things that the government is doing. They are just focused on one thing. We engage these people and say, what are your demands? It's very special. What do you want? They are complaining about NAWEC. But then when we engage in this, it's not only NAWEC, it's more than NAWEC. Okay, fine. Tell us, what are your demands? What do you want? If you say NAWEC, okay, the combo here NAWEC is having some, you know, some interruptions here and there.
Not some,
but
a lot.
Go to some part of the country, they are having electricity 24 hours. They are enjoying for the first time in their life. Are you saying that those people don't have right to enjoy what you are not enjoying here temporarily?
I think they're saying that we have the right to, everyone has the right to enjoy what everyone should enjoy. Yeah. That's it, uninterrupted electricity supply. But the issue is not about NAWEC here. It's about the ability to show your concerns. Yes. To speak up for yourself as a Gambian in a country that we say is a democratic state now.
All the media houses are open. People can go and say whatever they want to say. In any platform, whatever, in papers, whatever they want to say. But like I said, madam, it is not our desire or our wish to deny anybody the right to protest. You know, this is very regrettable, and we are appealing. The ministry is appealing to the young people to understand there are certain things we know that you don't know. Look at the Arab Spring. What happened? One person started the Arab Spring. It was uncontrollable. Do we want similar situation here?
So you just jump into the worst case scenario. We are just going to see now that we've run out of time, but I'm begging for 5 more minutes to take some questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you very much. I wanted to comment, but then I will just try to post my question. Yeah, with regards to the Occupy Westfield issue, we have a channel that we follow, and I'm very happy that you made mention of the fragile state issue. And the journalist, when she was asking a question, I was like saying, you know, we need to consider that there is what you call democracy, but there is also what you call misconceived democracy. My question is, what are your ministry doing to ensure that unreasonable excuses are not not concede that when it comes to confronting national security, it is a concern. Yes, because I am part of the Not in My Name campaign, ready to counter another protest purported to be organized by the Occupy Westfield. Based on
so what do you define as unreasonable concerns?
What I'm simply saying is, what are your ministry doing to ensure that they prevent unreasonable excuses from individuals who wanted to threaten the national security of this country? That's my question. Yes.
Okay, let's take another question before we come to the answer. Yes, so you can all be answered once.
Thank you very much. Seni Marina, JRTS. My question will go to the Director General of the Prison and Mr. Deba, the PS at the Ministry of Interior. With regard to the security sector reform, which is currently being rolled to ensure that the security is reformed in conformity with local, regional, and international standard, which we all looking forward to. Is Mile 2 closer part of the security sector reform? Because talking about Mile 2, it always brings in bad memories to the country. And secondly, are there other secret detention centers still in operation in this country? We have seen the past 22 years we have a lot of secret detention centers. Are these places still in operation? If yes, what are they waiting for them to be closed? Thank you.
Well, with regards to the secret detention centers, let me tell you that I'm only aware of only 3 facilities that are meant for detaining prisons. That's Mile 2, Joswang, and Janjambure. So if there is another one, well, it is not up to my knowledge.
Polygam used to be...
well, Polygam is not part of the Gambia prison services.
What about close to Mile 2? Is it part of the security sector?
Well, maybe the PS can answer that to you.
The security sector will not come and say close Mile 2, but this is the ministry's vision that we want to close Mile 2 for good and use it as an archive. There were security centers, detention centers that were known to us just recently. It was just last week that I knew that there was one at the airport. I never heard of it. I never knew about it. But I can tell you right now, there are no secret detention centers in the Gambia. No, Zippo. And the ministry at one point had a human rights unit under our ministry where these officers go around to visit police stations. Even if people are detained beyond that 72 hours, we are aware as a ministry, we ask why. And they should be released.
Okay, unfortunately, we've run out of time. I wish to take more questions, but time is an issue, it's a factor. Face the Nation will continue with the Ministry of Interior another week. But for now, this is all we have time for you. I am Tenneng Gitteh, and thank you, sir, for being here. And to our audience, thank you very much for being here, for your wonderful questions as well. Good night.